It's indeed a pleasant experience whenever we share time with law students, as it takes us back to days when we were students, just like you, with a lot of dilemma in our mind, whether I can practice, whether I need to join a law firm, whether I have to join the office of a corporate company, full of dilemmas. Natural, especially for first generation lawyers, to be questions regarding financial sustenance and various other dilemmas keep confronting students. The only way that we can attain some clarity is being exposed to views of different legal luminaries in order to help you take the decision of what you want to be, where you want to be, and why do you want to be in that position. This certificate course that is designed is indeed quite interesting, and I would rather say unique, as we don't have this in many colleges and institutions. Time has come when we need to reflect seriously of whether I can become a judge, whether I want to become a judge. If so, how do I consider this as an option? It is in this context that the course that is designed, called as a certificate course, would be of immense interest to enable you to take a decision. It's not that those who come through this course are people who definitely would become a judge. For we don't know where we will be after you finish your law course. But it is necessary to apply your mind. To become a judge is also an option, and that requires serious consideration, reflection, and analysis as to whether you would want to be a judge. So what is it to be a judge? It's rather interesting that you can become a judge right after you pass out from law school. For the Supreme Court has held at the entry level, that is civil judges, you don't need experience. That's a possibility. So you write an exam and directly enter the hierarchy of our judicial institution as a judge of the senior division. After you practice for 7 years, you can write the exam for the district judges. It's minimum of 7 years, so you can do that anytime before 45. And then you can become a judge of the High Court between after 40 till 52, 53, 54. That's an option. Judge of the Constitutional Court. You can also become a judge of the Supreme Court directly, and that is appointment under the category of eminent jurist. And there have been many occasions where judges have been directly appointed from the bar of the Supreme Court, who have gone on to become the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court as well. Well, this is the formal setup. The course would take you in the nitty-gritty of how to attempt an exam paper at the entry level, what are the components of such exam paper, and so on and so forth. But question again is, do you want to become a judge? And if so, why? One, merely as a career option, a judge of the entry level would be paid much more than an officer of Group A of the government, one. Two, I think the entry level pay packet of a civil judge would be better than any corporate law firm offering you a job, or a law firm or a corporate institution taking you at the entry level. That's one part of it. But what is the bigger picture? Why do you want to become a judge? I would rather call it as a 5-star public interest work. So what do you mean by that? You are getting paid for rendering justice, which earlier was called as divine, but we could demystify it by saying justice in the sense of giving a fair decision, a fair outcome of a legal challenge to a common citizen so that he enjoys his rights. This function of giving justice is indeed sacred, I can say, without necessarily calling it a spiritual, but it gives you a great deal of satisfaction. We see that people come to courts not out of choice but out of necessity, as that is the last option. It is there that there is a vindication of private rights in case of civil disputes before the entry courts. There is an adjudication of your constitutional rights in the constitutional courts by way of writs, as also appeals on the civil side. You can come to the High Court or the Supreme Court for enforcement of your fundamental rights. It is this struggle of a citizen for assertion of his rights. The more the cases are, the better it is for the system in the sense of expression of confidence in the system that is where I am going to get justice. And what is justice? Nobody can define. You will have the best of the scholars. All your jurisprudence lecturers would have told you what is justice. But if I ask any professor what is justice, he will fail because justice has no definition. So Amartya Sen said it's an idea of justice. So I rather prefer to call justice as an idea. Reason being, I'll give you a simple example. That for some people, in private civil rights, yes, I need to win the case. For some people, I want to teach him a lesson. So you may call it an abuse of process of court, as judges dismiss such petitions, but I would call it that's his idea of justice. You may call we in the institution may call it abuse. Now look at a matrimonial dispute. Many a time lawyers are paid to ask the most uncomfortable and irritating question to the spouse who is in the witness box. And the litigant comes out smiling, saying, I think, sir, I won the case. That is his sense of justice. So the idea of justice many a time varies from person to person. And that's the beauty of the justice delivery system. You file a suit for defamation and they ask for compensation of 1 rupee. Why is it? It's not the money. It's that 1 rupee, which would be a vindication that you have been wronged. And that's the beauty of our judicial system of giving justice in varied forms for varied litigants. And it is the faith of that the common man has in the institution that despite waiting for years on end for a small civil dispute to end, he is ready to wait. There are shortcuts. You can go and get street justice enforced and maybe quicker. But it's the faith in the system. It has its own negative points of being a very long drawn process, an expensive process, etc. But still, it's perhaps the most vibrant institution in this democracy upon which the faith of the common man lies and we hold. Why is it that you need to become a judge? So I have told you that it's not only a career option which financially pays at the entry level, but it's also a very important duty of an institution which shoulders the democracy, I can say. And towards this public interest cause, you can become a soldier of this larger war, a war against injustice, a war to uphold the assertion of rights of an individual. And it is that unnamed individual who's standing in the court, who's waiting for his turn for justice at the end of 5 years, 10 years, so be it. But it is that faith that has resulted in holding the country together. And you find that many a time when you have lost faith in the executive, your resort is the courts of law. Either when you feel you have been wronged and your right of expression has been taken away for enforcement, which we see in enforcement of fundamental rights, or for your civil disputes where a mediated settlement is not possible, and you end up in court after finding that you can't settle an issue of encroachment by your neighbor. So this is how the judicial system is, and there is the role for you. What is it that is needed to make for you to become a judge? It is nothing special. The characteristics of a good judge are characteristics of an ideal human being. You need to be patient. One, you need to listen. We have lost the art of listening. You are not ready to listen. It's a boring lecture. Of course, the communicator should also be alive to the audience. You have to interact with them so that the audience doesn't doze off. But you have to listen. Listen to what? Listen to what you don't like to listen. You don't like to listen to your parents, you have to listen to them. You may not like to listen to your professor, you have to listen to them. The ability to listen presupposes an open mind. You cannot listen if your mind is closed. And that is the beauty of a democracy, where you have to listen to dissenting voices, to majoritarian views, and to all views. Finally, you are a judge. Are you not in everyday life? You are the judge. You listen to your parents, but you take your own decision. You don't agree with your parents. You listen to your professor, but you take your own decision. You decide, I'm going to go for a movie today. I'm not going to attend the class. That's your decision, isn't it? So the art of judging presents an opportunity to decide a dilemma. And that dilemma is in everyone's life at every instance. So a human being can become a judge. And the positives are, a judge is required to be disciplined. For instance, a judge prepares for the next day's fresh cases, so you read that. You do your corrections of the orders. You do your administrative work because you are part of various committees. And then you have to do your duty of a father, husband, and part of a family. So this is nothing new. For even a lawyer does his own homework. If you work somewhere, you do your work. So judge basically is a disciplined human being. And if you want to be a disciplined human being, the best way is to become a judge. It's one way of looking at it. So it's not extraordinary that the calling is to become a judge. Then, of course, it requires a sacrifice of time. Now we sit there at 10:30 to 4:30. We have an hour of lunch time. And what is the discipline? So I used to wonder, it's not going to be difficult. From the first day, we have, of course, a colonial hangover of a man with a silver mace. It's a man still who takes you to the court. So on the first day, just before 10:20, I was going to court and I had some water. So he nudges me to use the restroom. Reason being, I can't get up between 10:30 and 1:30. So that's a discipline. So you may feel how difficult it would be. And I tell you, on the first month, and just as Vijay Kumar Patil would have felt in the first month, many a time when we were sitting in a bench, we would feel, I want to use the restroom and get up. So that's the disciplining of your physical body. Then what is the other discipline? There is an unmatched engagement with a lawyer. And frankly speaking, one of my friends one day said, I came to your court hall, you didn't notice me. For a judge, it's only the lawyer who we notice, especially in the high courts, because it's so fast, 3-4 minutes and it goes to the next case, because unless you decide to hear a full-fledged argument. So you can't miss a single word what the lawyer is saying. So sometimes they say lawyers doze off. It's not possible to doze off. Of course, there are exceptions, that's a different matter. But I'm saying this engagement of the lawyer with the judge requires an unmatched concentration and complete engagement with the lawyer. So to become a judge, you need to be disciplined. It's good to be disciplined, isn't it? Next, it's also necessary that there should be a culture of adherence to law. Frankly speaking, I find that we have least respect for adherence to law. You don't want to wear a helmet. Either you're like me, you don't have hair, so it doesn't matter. Or then you say, no, it's going to spoil my hairstyle. So you just shake off and then say, no, I don't want to wear it. Then there is a long route to go. I just want to take the one way. It's only 3 minutes, let's see. There's no police there. So let me do it. So these are the dilemmas that you face in every life. Your parents are not watching, your teachers not watching. Let me do what I have to do. This is your choice. You don't need law in case of personal choices. But you need law and adherence to law when you're in a part of a society. This culture of adherence to law has to increase. You can't get caught driving when you're drunk and trying to pay off the police. It's not done. Rather, you pay your fine. That's a different matter. But there must be adherence to law. Don't encourage this system of trying to shortcut the legal system. I'm sitting now in the local body roster, that is where cases against involving the BBMP and local authorities. Every third case you find that there is no plan and people are asking for some relief. So 3 days back, I was dealing with a case where a person had put up a 5-floor building. Photographs showed it's beautiful. But what is the catch? There's no plan. So the lawyer's great arguments, youngster, so he's saying the notice is by an authority without jurisdiction. So the entirety of the proceedings has to be quashed. So I was just reflecting. The alternate argument is there going to be some scheme for regularization. There is an Akrama and Sakrama scheme pending before the Supreme Court. It must await. These are the questions. Every 3 cases I get is one of building plan violation, encroachment on your neighbor's property, no setback left, etc. So it keeps you wondering, why is there no culture for adherence to law? So we as citizens, and if you want to become a judge, you have to adhere to the law. Is there anything wrong in doing that? Perfectly no. So why don't you become a judge and be part of the system? You are disciplined, you are law adherent. There are so many better points to say why you need to become a judge. But I'll tell you that any decision that you take, don't search for the answer. There is no the answer of why you want to become a litigating lawyer, why you want to join a law firm, why you want to take up a job in a corporate sector. When I became a judge on the first day, I was given an order sheet to sign. Order sheet are daily orders. So I was asked to sign, I wrote my full signature. So the man with the silver mace, he's our guide. So he says, he laughed. So I said, this is my signature. He said, no sir, it's a small signature. I didn't understand because I didn't have a small signature. So I scribbled something which has continued till today to be my small signature. What I don't know. So I'm only trying to say that there is no the answer. So don't look at that things have to be settled and there must be certainty. Life is full of uncertainty. So you take your decision. But before you take your decision, you must be exposed to the entirety of ideas and then decide what you want to be. The last point before I end is there is nothing that is called as glamorous, that's in your mind. And according to me, the simplest of pleasures in life is being a judge away from the ideas of judging of your peers. It's when you are free from ideas, biases, views of your peers, and then you take your decision. That's the best judgment in your life you can make. You ape somebody's hairstyle, or say he's a fantastic social human being. Let me also be a part like him. Let me also be like him. There is no suit that fits everybody. What fits you is your choice. And your choice you can make only when you are free of biases. So a judge has to be a man free of biases. Don't you want to be a person free of biases? Yes. So it's a choice that you have to make. But the career of judge is a wonderful opportunity. You criticize, everybody criticizes. You sit at home, watch the television and say, look at him, he's a judge, is he? And you laugh and say, is that the way that he's a judge? What he's doing, is that correct? So the answer to it is, it's very easy to criticize from outside. But you must be a part of the change what you want to see in society. And that is the message of what do you want to be. You want to change the world? Become a judge, you can contribute. Now your contribution is again limited. People may feel, oh, he's a judge, he can pass orders. Even we as judges have our limitations. We have separation of powers between the executive and the legislature. We cannot have judicial legislation. Of course, there are some, what I would rather say, as aberrations. A judge can pass a law only when it fits in within his duty. And that's how we need to look at things of choices of career. So I would end this small talk and this opportunity of interacting with young minds, and hopefully what we are trying to communicate is only an idea, and it's up to you how you want to carry forward that idea. And in that sense, I would say that all those who take up this certificate course need not necessarily decide that you want to become a judge. But the process of being exposed to idea is itself sufficient for you to judge whether you want to be a judge. Thank you.